Judge not. 2 words, printed on t-shirts, screenshotted into arguments, used to end conversations before they even start. And almost every person who quotes it has never read verse 6. You've used this verse. Someone's used it on you. By the end of this video, neither of you will be able to use it the same way again. Here's what nobody tells you about Matthew 7:1. Jesus never meant it to stand alone. It's the first sentence of a paragraph, not the whole paragraph. And what he says in the rest of it will change how you read every argument you've ever had over these 2 words. Look at the very next sentence. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. Read that carefully. Jesus doesn't say you'll be judged if you judge. He says you'll be judged the same way you judge. That's not a prohibition, that's a mirror. And if judge not meant never discern right from wrong, Jesus broke his own rule 6 verses later when he says, give not that which is holy unto the dogs. And again a few verses after that when he says, to know people by their fruits. You cannot obey either command without judgment. So Jesus wasn't outlawing judgment in verse 1. He was warning you about the measuring cup you're about to pick up. Which means the real question isn't whether you're allowed to judge, it's what kind he was actually condemning. The very next words answer that, and they're aimed at you, not some hypothetical hypocrite in the back of the crowd. Why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? A speck of sawdust, a wooden beam. Jesus isn't describing 2 different sins here. He's describing one posture, perfect precision looking outward, total blindness looking inward. Here's the part that should sting a little. Jesus never tells this man to leave the speck alone. He says, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. The correction was always coming, just not from someone who was still blind. So this was never a command to stop noticing what's wrong in people. It's a diagnosis of why we always see it wrong, magnified in everyone else, invisible in ourselves. Which means there's a kind of judgment Jesus never told you to put down. He told you where it has to start. Because 2 verses later, Jesus says the sentence almost every judge not sermon leaves out completely. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine. To the people listening that day, dogs and pigs weren't pets. They were the 2 animals that stood for everything unclean, outside the boundary of what was sacred. Jesus is telling them, know the difference. Know who can be trusted with what's holy and who can't. You cannot know that without evaluating someone's character. Jesus just said judge not, and 1 breath later commands a judgment call most people would call judgmental. Then later in the same chapter, beware of false prophets. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Not by their claims, not by how sincere they sound, by what actually grows out of a life. So here it is. The sentence people build entire arguments on is a warning against self-righteous condemnation. And 2 verses later, Jesus commands discernment. Not despite what he just said, because of it. The clean-eyed person was never the one who stopped looking. It's the one who finally looked in the right order. Here's what that costs you this week. Not 3 rules, 3 shifts. Before you correct someone, name out loud what's still unfinished in you. Not to disqualify yourself, to finally see clearly enough to actually help. Before you write someone off, notice which question you're really asking. Is this trustworthy, or am I better than this? Only one of those is discernment. And remember the measuring cup Jesus described. Whatever cup you hand someone, you drink from it eventually. Most people don't remember that until it's already in their own hand. There's a moment later in the Gospels where a woman is dragged in front of Jesus, guilty, exposed, out of options. Everyone standing there could see her sin clearly. Jesus was the only one who could see it perfectly, and he was the only one who didn't pick up a stone. He didn't pretend she was innocent. He told her to go and sin no more. He saw clearly, and he still didn't condemn her. That's not a contradiction. That's the only person who was ever actually qualified to judge, choosing not to. And that's exactly what Matthew 7 looks like when it's lived out. Eyes that see clearly, hearts that refuse hypocrisy, and mercy that never ignores the truth. Not closed eyes, not eyes so fixed on someone else's sin they never turn inward. Clean eyes, the kind that finally see people the way Christ does. That's the verse almost everyone quotes, and almost nobody finishes. Which one is harder for you? Dealing with your own beam or letting go of someone else's speck? Comment below, I'd love to know.